Hi, everyone. Welcome to Rheaply's webinar. We're so excited to have you here today. My name is Derek Doing. I'm one of the marketing team here at Rheaply, putting this production together for you. We're joined today by Sabir Lakhani, Director of Product at Rheaply, to talk about our new homepage and how you can leverage it to get the most out of Rheaply. So before we jump in and get started, I just want to mention that we have a live chat to the side that you should be able to interact with. I'll be in there watching for questions that we'll get to at the end. There are some interactive elements to this webinar, so Sabir will cover those in just a second. And then we also have some of our Rheaply team members in the live chat as well as some sales team members ready to go. If at any point during this conversation you feel inclined to reach out to a Rheaply team member, we want you to feel empowered to do so. So, without further ado, I'd like to pass it over to Sabira to kick us off. How are you doing, Sabira?
I'm good. Thanks, Derek, for the intro and for the waiting room. I was comfortable with the silence. And I will be for the rest of the hour as I talk to the screen. But welcome, everybody. And thank you so much for joining us. My name is Sabira. I am on the product team here at Team Rheaply, and I have been with the company for over 2.5 years and have spent the last 10 years of my career in circular economy. It all started with trash, and now I'm here doing very cool things. And so I'm excited to talk to you about our product and how it can help you unlock reuse as an opportunity to meet your sustainability goals and potentially even drive revenue or cost savings. So we have a lot to cover today. I'm very glad that you're here for the ride, and we'll get started. And as Derek mentioned, please ask questions. Derek, if there's anything urgent that I can answer immediately, feel free to interrupt, and we will also have a Q&A session at the end. So as we kick it off, before I even tell you about the agenda, we'd just like you to think about our assets or items or resources, things that your organization have purchased. How many of those items are sitting idle in your organization, not being used? And I would love for you to just think about the why. What are some of the reasons that prevent you from maximizing the utility for your items? And we'll be covering a lot of this content as we go through today, but just a little seed for something for you to noodle on. So today we'll be covering, I'll do a little bit of intro to Rheaply, our company, our products, and then I'll give you a little bit of the tour of our product and particularly our homepage, which we recently redesigned, so we're very excited about that. And then we'll connect those dots to how our products will help you unlock reuse and value for items that you've already purchased in your organization and might be sitting idle. So we got a lot to cover. There will be some polling and Mentimetering, so just have your phones ready or be ready to contribute. And here it is. I primed you just at the right time. So would love for you to go to menti.com, enter this code, and Derek will send that in the chat as well. And we want to know, before we tell you about us, we want to know who you are. So the question that you have here is, who are you in terms of your context for Rheaply? Do you manage resources? Are you looking at reusing at scale within your organization? Might you be a sustainability professional? Or are you brand new to the circular economy and totally other? I put other for myself because I'm a Team Rheaply employee, but would love to see and hear who you are so we can also help cater the conversation here a little bit. I'll give it a couple of seconds. I do love the live situation here, so let's get some participation. Nice, some sustainability professionals, some folks who manage resources. That's awesome. Ooh, a lot of sustainability professionals. Interesting. Wow. This is great. Cool. So we have a good number of sustainability professionals, a little bit of other, a little bit of managed resources. So I think we'll cover hopefully content that is relevant to you all. And the next question before we get into the content of the presentation is, tell us if you've had any experience with the Rheaply platform at all. Are you a customer and use the product heavily? Have you gotten a demo from one of our team members or clicked around on the internet and learned a little bit more about us, or are you brand new? Ooh, we have a couple of customers. And we're very excited for everybody who's brand new because we get to tell you who we are. Great. Nice, nice. Cool. All right, so mostly brand new folks, and that's perfectly fine. We have a little bit of something for everybody, so that's great. And I'm glad to see some of y'all have also experienced a demo. That's great. All right, thank you so much. So that'll help the context going forward. So we're Team Rheaply. We're on a mission to build a community where every workplace resource finds its next use. What does that mean? That means every item that you've purchased, how can we identify how to maximize the utility of those items and make sure that whatever decisions you're making are the best decisions possible. So we're a few years old. We're founded in 2016, and we're still a young startup. But one thing I wanted to point out is that we have a good number of ecosystem partners that we work with. So we believe that circular economy and reuse is not possible alone. So we work with a large number of organizations to bring what I'm going to show you to life. And so as you told us that most of you are new to Rheaply, we'll tell you a little bit about the products as well. And I'll be showing you these areas of the product, so don't fret. We'll give you the real behind the scenes look as well. So we have our first product, which is Circulate Internal. This was actually the use case upon which our organization was founded. And the pain point that we heard from companies and organizations and universities was, hey, we have a bunch of stuff. We know other people in our organization can use it. How do we do that without spreadsheets or without listservs? Is there like a better way to track all the exchanging that is happening? Can we report it? We're going to have to report sustainability metrics. How does reuse fall in line with that? Can we make some revenue off of some of the surplus that we have, or avoid purchasing new, especially inside of our organization if we have resources already? So we launched our internal product first, which provides sellers and buyers within an organization an opportunity to identify the surplus that they have and then connect via marketplace kind of tools to facilitate exchanges, either peers to peers, so colleagues, employees, even college students, faculty, and or it could be that a member of the organization on behalf of the organization is listing surplus for other employees, teams, departments, campuses to be able to view, connect with the person on the selling side, and then actually exchange. And this is really important because a lot of times large organizations don't have that kind of connectivity between teams, departments, and geographic places in the world. So this was an opportunity, a digital hub to easily bring your resources to life and then be able to act on them within the proverbial four walls of your organization. We built upon that and expanded on that by adding on what we've called the preferred network. And what the preferred network does is gives you the ability to have total control over sharing your surplus with external parties. So the way this works is if you have an existing list of nonprofits that you work with, vendor partners, buyers, who you typically sell to, you can have them join the Rheaply platform as their own organization. And we set them up and configure your organization in a way that you can control what items they see, They can exchange, they can talk to you about those items, see if they're interested, and which ones you don't want them to see. What's even greater about this preferred network is that, as I mentioned at the top, Rheaply is working with other partners. And this is an example of that. So we work with nonprofit organizations, local small businesses, to bring them to the table. And if you so choose and you want them, you want to amplify or you want to find demand for those surplus items that you're looking to avoid sending to landfill, but you want to put them to use in a great way outside of your organization, you can have control in that demand even beyond what your existing network is today. And we know that all of that is kind of impossible with real life logistics and boots on the ground. Circular economy and exchanging items and resources is not possible without the actual movement of things from point A to point B. And so Rheaply launched services to be able to help you create data about your items, move things from point A to point B, store items, and potentially even refurbish and remanufacture your items. So this is something that we've introduced, and I'll touch upon this in a second. I'll just take a sip of water. So what does this all mean, actually? Rheaply can help you put your idle items to work by helping you know what you have, use what you have internal to your organization, and then sell or donate what you don't need. And we provide the services to support that across the board. So I talked a little bit more about use what you have and sell or donate what you don't need. And in order to support that, you really need to know what you have. And we're hint, going to be launching a product around helping organizations track and manage their inventory at scale so that they can better use what they have and sell or donate what they don't need. So we're really thinking about the entire experience for an organization like yours or companies like yours to be able to quickly get things identified and then put them to work in a better way with total control and even live data and information about the transactions. So that's where we are today in terms of Team Rheaply. I also wanted to give you kind of a sense of where we think we're going. We put together this, slide and model to identify and show who in the circular economy Rheaply wants to serve and collaborate with in order to make the maximum use of items possible. And so what I've kind of talked to you about already is that first owner, the person or organization who buys 1,000 chairs or 10,000 laptops for their employees. And I talked to you about the internal reuser, somebody who could potentially need one of those laptops or hundreds of those laptops within your own organization, and the external buyer or receiver who also has a need for those items, but doesn't really have visibility into that supply unless provided a secure and trusted connection to your organization, to that first owner. Oh, we jumped ahead. But in addition to that, we also want to work with and serve, and we do currently work with service providers to help make all of this possible. So I kind of mentioned that as well. And we also see manufacturers starting to play a role in the circular economy in a way that they can help provide data around the products that they already have put out into the marketplace. And they also could leverage data around how many of their items are out there in the world, and is there opportunity to offer take back programs and certified reuse products for their customers. So that's a little bit in the future. And we've also worked with some sponsor organizations who are seeking to jumpstart circularity in their local region or where their organizations operate. And so they might not themselves be a player in exchanging or owning items, but they want to subsidize the use of this kind of technology to unlock the connections between large organizations, nonprofits, hospital, government organizations, all within an area. So we've seen interest on this from different cities, as well as large enterprises who see the opportunity of circular economy and want to be at the forefront of that conversation. So taking a little bit of a step back, and before we get into the product, I want to take you back about 6 months ago. So we know that we're kind of still early days in the circular economy and in the adoption of technology to help unlock reuse. And so we want to make sure that we're focusing on these first use cases and making that experience really easy so that you can avoid purchasing new or double purchasing or throwing things out unnecessarily. So we asked ourselves, and the objective we set for ourselves is, how do we get our users to experience the value of reuse faster? And we wanted to make sure that we actually get to that point of value so that we can reuse more and avoid all of those unnecessary spends. So what we did in that journey, which was a very fun one, is talk to our customers. But before I tell you about them, I would love to hear from y'all. What are the challenges you experience when thinking about reuse, and particularly reuse at scale? So let's go back to the Mentimeter. And I know sustainability is hard, and so is reuse. But so curious to hear, what kind of things have you experienced with reuse at scale, particularly challenges? I'll give you all a couple of seconds to respond, but would love to see some participation. Anybody? Nothing. It's just really, really tough. It's a word cloud situation, so we'll be able to see. Transportation, storage, yeah, convenient returns. Anybody else? Prepping items for reuse, yep, logistics. Return on investment, knowing the opportunity, yeah, low adoption rates. Wow, these are great. Material value. Storage and transportation at the top, huh? Discovery, context, connections. Laziness, yeah, laziness. I feel that. I'm furnishing an apartment for the first time in a long time, and really going through the journey of Facebook marketplacing everywhere around me, and the laziness can get to you. I feel that. Access, volume, storage, lack of storage, yep. Finding items, repair. These are great. Thank you guys so much. So here's what our customers told us, which is actually really in line with what we saw here on the screen. So we put out a survey to some of our customers in the middle of last year. So if you got that survey, thank you so much for participating and responding. And 36% of the respondents said that they don't list items on Rheaply because they have nowhere to store the items. And 21% said that they don't know how to coordinate the logistics of the exchange. So storage, logistics, and coordination, definitely a big pain point. Time and effort to create listings. So this is more specifically not about reuse at scale, but in our product and our platform. And a lot of our respondents said they don't have time to create listings, right? It's not necessarily in their job description, or they're taking on extra responsibilities, or it takes work to actually come up with the data to create the listings and find the right information, some of which y'all mentioned on the previous slide as well. And particularly, we had a couple of fields that users said they found hard for them to fill out on Rheaply. And then also we heard from customers more qualitatively is there's kind of a confusing buying experience. So a lot of times when a user was joining a newish organization, they were logging in for the first time and kind of finding an empty page and not sure what action to take. And that left them kind of feeling like, so what's Rheaply about? And so we wanted to take action on all of what we heard. And here's how we responded. So I mentioned our services earlier in the conversation. Rheaply offers on-site services and support, and now also can support with large-scale storage, logistics, decommission, space refreshes, item remanufacturing, right? And this, again, like I mentioned, it doesn't not just Rheaply, it takes a network of organizations to deliver this. We also made changes to our product for the seller and looking at time to create listings. So when we get into the product, I'll give you a little bit of a tour of some of these features. But one of the changes that we made is if you select a specific few categories, we're testing out what if Rheaply suggests the weight for you, so you don't have to Google it yourself and do the work for that yourself, and figuring out what other fields we can do that for. We also released the ability to leverage most recent categories, so you're avoiding typing things over and over again and automatically saving drafts. And we have more work to do there, but those were some of the changes that we made late last year. And then on the buying experience side, we redid the homepage, which is very much different experience now if you know the before and after, and I'll give you a peek of that. We also gave more information to the buyer, so adding an explicit condition field helps. And then the ability to buy now is something that we're in beta in right now. Previously, we only had an offer system. So what we're going to do today is basically double click on that homepage redesign, and I can help kind of give you a sense of what happened behind the scenes and why we made some of the decisions that we made and how that connects to driving value and dollars from reuse. So I'm excited about that. So this was the before. So just take a look at it. Just notice your feelings, as a good yoga instructor might guide you to think and sense. See how you feel. Give it a critique. Have your thoughts. I'm sure the YouTube chat is blasting off with, there's some things that are wrong. And there is definitely a lot of opportunity here for us to redo this and relook at this. So I'll tell you some of the problems that we uncovered when we were learning more about this. So one was that it was unclear. There's some empty states, not a lot of color, and not sure what to do when you get there. So a little bit bland and a little bit vague. And we also heard that the listings themselves were not so relevant to me, or have to do a lot of scrolling or searching to find what I'm looking for, and it doesn't really feel personal. And then we also heard from our customers, both from end users and from admins of our organizations, that there's no connection between the actions of the end users, so creating listings and making offers and completing exchanges, to the impact that the organization is having, and the impact that the person is having. And so that's what we sought to solve. And so in redesigning the homepage, we sought to create a more engaging and relevant experience to connect the dots to Rheaply's value for both the supply side and the demand side faster, and then motivate users to act, because climate change is upon us, and circular economy is a really massive opportunity to avoid purchasing new and eventually avoid the extraction of raw material, which is really what we're seeking to achieve. So now we'll kick it off and head into the homepage. This is the preview of what it looks like. It's way better. We're very excited, but happy to hear your feedback as well and thoughts as to, is it actually better? And I'll take you through the different areas of the platform, and I'll also poke around into other areas as well besides the homepage. So feel free to follow along. Here we are. And as you follow along, Tell us what's exciting to you about the homepage. What do you wish you could see on the homepage? Would this be relevant to you in your organization? So I have my apps, my tabs die because otherwise I spend too much energy with a lot of tabs open. So here we go. We're in the homepage now in Rheaply University. So this is all of the listings in our organization. It's very scrollable and easily navigatable, and love that color. But how do listings actually get here? We'll zoom out, we'll take a pause for a second, and yes, we'll get to the buyer side, that buyer experience, but how do listings actually get here? So you're able to create a listing. I'm going to resume my last saved draft because I had something ready for y'all. What you're able to do at any user in your organization that you would permit into Rheaply would be able to create this listing. And I identified, I have one of these chairs that I don't need anymore. I would never give such a nice chair up, but maybe I'm ready for a new one, or my organization's ready for a new one and I don't need this anymore. So I can create a listing, add photos, add the category, which is important. We'll come back to that. Can add the condition, whether or not this has an asset tag. We know some organizations tag their items. Add a description and any tags, which is really helpful at the organization level. There's different ways that you like to categorize stuff. The pickup location, which is really great and configurable for organizations. So you can choose how this looks for your company, for your nonprofit, for your university, for your lab. This is something that we configure so that the users can see familiar locations and landmarks to set where the pickup and where the item is. You're able to set a price. So as I was mentioning, in our internal product, we see organizations both list items for free, but they also can add prices for the unit and accept payment as well on the platform. You can do this internally. You can accept payments externally as well. This is really important because if you're seeking to share your listings externally, this is an opportunity for you to drive revenue for your organization on surplus that might have gone to landfill. You can quickly collaborate with the demand side without sending emails, without visits on site, without having to back and forth over phone call. So really having the opportunity to recapture some of the value that you've already spent by putting a price on the item. If you have it listed for free, either you're providing the benefit to your own organization by avoiding purchasing new or double purchasing, or you're providing the benefit to another organization, if you're sharing it externally, to reap the benefit of use of that item for free. So helping external organizations out, so like nonprofits that you might work with. There's also, you can have a quantity. In my team, we happen to have 12 of these, so I'm listing 12. And then this is where things get interesting about where you can have that total control. So this is a key differentiator for us, which is you as in your organization, as a person creating the listing, you can configure this section to give your organization and your employees or members the best amount of control possible. So does this listing only visible to my organization? Can I share it with my preferred network, which is my group of nonprofits or my neighbors, my neighboring organizations? You also could share it to the Rheaply network, which I was mentioning, our ecosystem of partners that we can help bring to the table to amplify that demand in case you're not able to find demand for those items, so that we get that higher level of circularity and velocity. These two also help you generate that potential revenue or cost savings by by either putting a price out or helping organizations purchase at a lower cost than they would otherwise. Oh, I think because my draft got refreshed, you can't see the suggested weight here. But for a few categories like chairs, when we select this the first time, because I prepped for this webinar that it's not showing you anymore, but this is actually a suggested weight. So I did not enter this weight. Rheaply told me that it's likely that your chair is about this weight. And we hope to evolve this kind of suggestion so that the listing owner has to do much less work to get this data created. So this is how listings get created, how the visibility into what you have is brought to life so that others in your organization, either internally or externally, can actually browse what's available. So this is the new homepage. Welcome. We're excited to have it. So I'll talk through some of the feeds and then we'll go through some of the other features and areas of the product. So this is recently viewed, so personalized to me, things that I've recently clicked. So you can see I'm interested in both furniture items, something cool and unique like this conference table, which feels like double reuse here. That's very cool. And as well as building materials, because that might be part of my job description. I also have listings that are new in my interest. So what we do at the beginning of our journey with our users, something else that we recently released is this refreshed onboarding flow, is we capture the interests of the end users so that we can curate that homepage experience to be what is relevant to the end user. So these are the categories. Normally I would just select fun, but today, for this webinar, I'm interested in all these other materials and interests. And this is something that is not, set in stone. So you're able to edit your interests over time. And really what we seek to do and evolve in the future is leverage more data and information that the user provides us in order to make this interest feed more relevant and personalized to the user, as well as to provide suggestions as to what might be interesting to them to purchase and take action on immediately, so that, again, we get that velocity and opportunity for reuse. I can explore categories. I love those fun animations bringing our page to life, which is great. And popular listings, what other people are looking at, so I can say, yeah, maybe I should want that too, or it might be relevant to me. And it feels more like an e-commerce experience. So we also want reuse to feel familiar and not like a huge departing from other shopping or utility maximization of items in other contexts, right? So when you're looking for an item, it would be great for this experience to feel familiar to that instead of emails or listservs. Carbon avoiders. This is great because we have some reporting around carbon. So actually every exchange and every opportunity to avoid buying new or avoid going to landfill would be carbon avoiders. We have data around different categories and their carbon emission factors. So this helps users kind of say like, oh, this would be helpful if I actually exchange on this item. And I'll actually go back up here to the top and we'll connect the dots to some other things. So I'll connect the dots to the reporting here. So as I was saying about the carbon reporting, we have reports that are available. And here at this top bar, which is new for us, is my organization's impact. How much weight is diverted and how much value is recaptured. So this at like bang at the top of the homepage is, by taking XYZ action, hey, we're all in this together and we're making progress towards our sustainability goals that we set. And we'll actually go to the reports themselves, which we have. I'll actually start with our weight diverted report. So this is a cumulative real-time report of as transactions are happening on platform, this number continues to go up, right? And you get to see the different date ranges, and you're able to adjust accordingly. Right, so you can say from 2021, you can see the time here. So this is telling you, this is doing, normally what we've seen organizations tell us is they're doing sustainability reporting at a set period when they have to report out. But this gives you the power at your fingertips to have this information at any time and as soon as transactions are happening and reuse is happening. The other interesting report is the value available and recaptured. So what this report is telling you is everything that's listed on Rheaply within your organization today, what the opportunity for reuse is, right? What's the value of the chairs that you've listed, the laptops, the bricks? What is the potential opportunity so that it can be motivated to get some of that moving and circulated so that I can see how much is actually recaptured. And recaptured here is that the value that's associated, the market value that you put with the listing, connecting that to either cost avoided because you've not purchased new or revenue from a sale to be able to get that dollar number up and justify the reuse. Show you our embodied carbon report as well. So for those who have to do sustainability reporting and are tracking towards your goals, this is another real-time report that we have, which uses over different factors for the different categories. It's at the category level to be able to report on the estimated carbon avoided by reusing items. So this is another huge value driver for organizations to be able to report on this and have this information at their fingertips. Now, heading back to the home page, the other thing I kind of wanted to call out was this new call to action section, which is giving the user the heads up of like, what should I do? So when you see the before of our homepage, this was not so obvious. So we wanted to do is say, any user coming to the platform, bam, what action should I take and why? And this gives you kind of the heads up about that, as well as we have messaging and notifications to be able to help remind the end users to come back to the platform and take that action. So we're also able to, in our Exchange Center, help users on both sides of the transaction, either if you're selling, to manage the offers that they are submitting, if they're selling the offers that they are receiving, and if you're buying the offers that you're submitting. So this gives you a chance to take a look at your history and stay on top of all of your circular activity, your reuse activity, and the ability to view the orders and kind of have a running history and track of what has happened, which is really great. A lot of organizations don't necessarily have that historical data available to them. So I'm gonna head back to the deck here. Hopefully y'all were following around. I did also want to, I see we have about 15 minutes left. I'll give you a quick tour of one more feature that we are in now in beta, buy now, and would just like you to think about how this feature might make your organization, your experience with Rheaply better if you're a customer, and why this feature might not work for you in your organization. Definitely leave it in the chat. We'll go. Let's change my organization here. And so this feature, as I was showing, actually, I don't know if I actually did a good job of showing you what happens after your listing is created and you have the homepage. So that is a buy now listing. And let's see. The buyer would be able to make an offer this leads to a conversation and the ability for the seller to accept. And as I just clicked to here, the beta feature that we released is at the listing level, the seller can choose, is this listing going to be a buy now listing or an offer listing? So giving that flexibility to the seller to choose what they want to do. And in this case, as the buyer of this, I might be able to buy now because the seller didn't want to accept offers, no discussion necessary. Let's just transact. So I can put in my zip code. And this organization is accepting payments on platform. We're integrated with Stripe, so it's pretty secure. And I'm able to complete the transaction directly online without having to talk to or doing a back and forth on offers with the seller. And I can mark the item received. So now the status of that order is completed. So this is a beta feature. I'm curious to hear y'all's opinions and feedback on it. We love to learn from our customers in all cases, and we're a very customer-facing product team, so we're constantly having conversations. We launched an inaugural customer advisory board that we were very, very grateful for our customers to participate in, and we're definitely very open to feedback. So would love to hear some of your thoughts as you watch me go through that. And now we're really at the end of our time together and happy to talk through any questions or feedback from the product tour that I gave you, the demo, as well as any questions about Rheaply, the company, and our products.
Hi, Sabira. It's you're back with me, and we do have a few questions. So if you can hear me all right, we'll dive right into them.
I
Um,
can.
and thanks for that great presentation. We're excited about this new homepage and very happy to share it with customers and just interested parties alike. If you have any questions during this portion, please leave them in the chat. I'm watching it. And we have some Rheaply team members on standby as well. If you'd like to schedule a demo, just go to rheaply.com, hit that schedule a demo button in the top right, and we'll get in touch with you as soon as possible. And also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to see more content like this and some exciting new things to come from Rheaply, like that buy now feature that Sabira previewed for you. So, Sabira, the first question I wanted to, or that we had in this chat that I wanted to bring towards you is, let's say we have a nonprofit organization that wants to, they want to post a listing looking for something or requesting something. What are we doing on the platform to make that happen?
Yeah, we do. We do have an early and slash old experiment that we ran with requests, where organizations or even internal to organizations, there's the ability to ask for specific things. So that is something that exists on the platform. I would say that has not been actually heavily used. And what we're looking to do is actually turn data that the demand side is giving us by either using search or clicking around and helping make that more visible to sellers. There is also the ability to specifically create a request and ask for a specific thing. But what we have found and heard is that the probability that there is a match feels not necessarily high. And so it's just something that we're exploring. So possible, still on our roadmap to figure out how to improve. And there's a lot of opportunity there to help supply meet demand, and demand let supply know, what do I need?
Can you also speak to a little bit more about how nonprofits in general can get engaged with Rheaply beyond just the platform?
Absolutely. So I would suggest that you reach out to our team and join the Rheaply network. So what does that mean? You would be able to view listings that supply side organizations are making available to that wider group of organizations in the Rheaply network. So if you're looking for things, that's something that you can absolutely do right away for free, and you can have access to that kind of supply. We have workspace items, building materials, IT equipment. So there's a lot there that could hopefully serve a need. If you're also looking to track your own items, if you have a large organization and you have a hint that the internal product might also be useful to you, that is something we've seen nonprofits do. So if you have a ton of organizations and a huge national footprint, you can help figure out where are all the assets that I've purchased nationally and facilitate that reuse instead of spending your precious budget dollars on buying new.
That's awesome. I think that's a really amazing feature. We're going to jump into our next question, which is someone's interested in knowing that the products that they're receiving are coming from a nearby region to reduce shipping and other expenses. How are we helping accomplish this?
Yeah, so the messaging, so you're able to filter definitely on the browsing experience based on radius and location. So that's something that you as a buyer have total control over. And we know that there is kind of a cost benefit analysis that needs to be done at an item level to understand, is it actually worth it for me to ship beyond XYZ miles? That's something that I would say we would want to address in the future in the product, is helping buyers and sellers make decisions about which transactions make most sense from a carbon perspective. We're not there yet, but going back and forth and messaging with the seller gives you total control to make that decision. And the filters also help you understand what's local to you or not.
Awesome. Yeah, and I know we're putting a big emphasis on a movement called Circular Cities. So we're helping to facilitate local exchanges as much as possible, and reduce those shipping expenses and any other expenses associated with carbon shipping and all things of that sort. Moving on to the yeah,
Oh,
please.
sorry, Jen. I just wanted to react to something you said about circular cities. If you're in a city and you participate in your local government, definitely get them thinking about what they can do to jumpstart circularity in your area. Because I kind of hinted at before, these types of exchanges are possible when you have those large networks. And so what we're seeing is cities saying, yeah, I'm going to help facilitate these kinds of transactions. For example, we'll focus on a particular material type, building materials in my city. I might care about making sure they're not going to landfill. So put together a program around facilitating these types of transactions digitally and providing the physical infrastructures to support that storage and logistics kind of challenge that reuse runs into at scale. And so that's also an opportunity for you to get involved in your local city and nudge other organizations to also collectively sign up and figure out how we can make this happen locally, because we do want transactions to stay local as much as possible.
Yeah, yeah. The less carbon and expenses that we can help people achieve, the better.
Exactly.
So this next question, it's how does the warehousing payment structure work? And I'll kind of field that. I think the best answer for that will not come from Sabira or I. Your best answer for that will come to talking with our sales team and getting an answer that's specific to your scenario. But the second part of that question is there information on the average length of time building materials would take to be placed?
We don't have that today, although that is definitely data that we would look to provide to the sellers and the buyers. So thank you for bringing up that question, something that we know we need to work on. So if we fast forward to Rheaply's product in a few months and years, we're seeking, as I was also hinting at before, is leveraging data to make the experience more personalized and get more recommendations in front of folks, right? Is that I can tell you that this, if I can tell you that this item is going to take a couple of weeks and you know to be patient, or you know that you need to be more aggressive in getting the word out there, or Rheaply can help get more demand on the platform. So definitely an opportunity for growth for us, but not today.
Yeah, it's coming essentially. We're the more data that we can collect and provide, the better answers that we'll have to questions like this.
Mm-hmm.
Next question is kind of more specific. Who could I speak to at Rheaply regarding product rework items?
Product rework, meaning like reuse and remanufacture. I'm going to assume that as I answer that question. I would say there's a couple of folks. We have a lot of different team members. So if you sign up for Rheaply, I'll tell you a little bit about our structure. So we have our product team that will help not only with the digital product experience, but we work closely with our other teams to help make sure that the product and operations of reuse are possible. So those teams that help us do that are our ecosystems team, who are identifying those local opportunities where there is the need to be able to repurpose, remanufacture, repair items. And we find that there is a bit of matchmaking that needs to happen there between the service provider and the organization that has supply. So we help facilitate that and get you the best solution. And our customer success team also supports throughout that entire process. So really, we have a high touch experience so that circularity and those opportunities are coming really easy to you.
Yeah, so to condense that, you can reach out through that same scheduled demo form, and
Mhm.
we'll get to you very quickly through our ecosystem team. Um, and I just want to kind of emphasize as well that Rheaply is more than just a platform. We are working on building this larger community of reuse. And so everyone has a place in that community, as you saw in those earlier diagrams, that we want to make sure that everyone feels empowered to reuse within their organizations, with other organizations, and even able to rework and remanufacture specific products. It seems like we're nearing the end of time, and that's the end of our questions. Is there anything else you'd like to preview or touch on before we wrap up?
No, I would just ask that um, y'all reach out if reuse at scale is interesting to you. So, as Derek mentioned, please um, take the opportunity to schedule a demo. We find that if you're the first owner of an item or an internal reuser or external receiver, every organization has its weird nuances and culture, and that is great. And we want to be able to help meet you where you're at. So having a demo and talking to one of our team members helps us serve you better. So that's kind of part one. So plus one to what you said, Derek. And then also I wanted to give you a little bit of a hint, as I mentioned earlier, that we are releasing a new product more around inventory management and knowing your supply, the surplus in your organization much better. For large organizations who have a lot to track to help unlock that reuse and that opportunity for internal and external exchanges. So we'll be having a webinar in the upcoming weeks to launch that. We're very excited. We believe that this will really help push the circular economy forward and take a big step for our product. So keep an eye out for that. And I would
We have
say,
one more
in
question also.
conclusion, please sign up for Rheaply and help be part of the solution by creating listings, making offers, buying now, actually getting your hands dirty with the exchanges, and or setting your organization up to be able to do that. That's the ask, and we're here. We're Rheaply. We're seeking to build circularity for every business. So join us on that journey.
Yeah, so we thank you, Sabir. I have one more question for you, but I do want to thank everyone if they have to hop off this webinar, and
Mhm.
to stay tuned for future ones. But this last question is: do all the network users for an organization have access to each other as well, like a B2B model with the organizations involved?
Um, the answer is kind of. It's a very opt-in scenario because what we have noticed is many organizations want and need control for their business experience and their business rules. So some organizations prefer to share their listings and their surplus with a subset of organizations. That's their choice, and that's the control that you get. But organizations that are willing to share with any other organization in the network and willing to view listings from any organization in the network, we also have that ability. So as I was showing you on the platform, this is the place at the listing level where you have total control. So this Rheaply network is the opt-in network where organizations can have B2B transactions with any other organization that has opted in. So we provide both that control and that extended network if depending on what your need is as a supply or the supply side organization.
Yeah, and that's one of the most exciting new things that we've come up with, in my opinion, that's happening currently. And you can see our all of those opted in listings currently from the Rheaply.com homepage to view all listings or browse listings from our top-down menu. Super exciting. Hopefully, you find something close to you that you can take and turn into something beautiful. That's we just hit that 2:30 mark, so I want to thank everyone again for joining us today. Thank you, Sabira, for this lovely presentation and for all the work that you've done to the platform. And thank you all for paying attention today. We hope to see you again in future webinars or on the Rheaply platform. Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.